You ever get that feeling that you're just living a life that was handed to you instead of one you actually designed for yourself? Well, for the next few minutes, let's try on a new hat. Think of yourself as an architect, not of buildings, but of your own life. Let's dive in.
Oof. Does that one hit home? That feeling of just grinding away, putting in all the work, day in and day out, and the needle just doesn't seem to move. It's so frustrating, it's draining, and you know what? It's an incredibly common place to feel stuck.
So, here's our game plan for this journey. First, we'll talk about the quake, which is all about really acknowledging that feeling. Then we'll look at the blueprint to figure out where all this pressure is coming from. After that, it's time to build the foundation with a brand new mindset, create our own action plan in the build, and finally, we'll look to the horizon with a totally fresh perspective. You ready? Let's get to it.
All right, first up, the quake. This is that moment, that deep down rumble where you realize something just feels off. And here's the most important part. You can't possibly build something new until you admit that the old foundation has a few cracks in it.
And listen, if you've ever felt lost, or behind, or like you've completely failed to meet some invisible deadline, I need you to hear this. You are so not alone. This isn't some personal failure. It's a huge, shared experience in the world we live in today.
Okay, now that we've acknowledged that feeling, let's get into our second section, the blueprint. This is where we start to look at the plans we've all been kind of following without even realizing it. We're going to figure out where all this pressure really comes from.
It all starts with this idea called the social clock. You know what I'm talking about. It's that invisible timeline that society has for all the big milestones. Graduate by 22, get married by 30, buy the house, have the kids. Sound familiar? It's stuck around because, honestly, it gives us a simple, clear path. But here's the problem. That path was drawn on a map that is completely out of date.
And just look at this. The whole idea of retiring at 65, that became law back in 1935. But go back to the 1800s, and the average life expectancy was just 29. 29. Today, it's over 77. We are literally trying to follow a timeline that was designed for a life that was less than half as long as the one we have now. It's wild when you think about it.
And this really drives the point home. The median home price in the 50s was about 88 grand in today's money. Compare that to over 400,000 now. And the average age of a homebuyer has skyrocketed from around 35 to 56. So trying to follow that old timeline isn't just outdated. For a lot of us, it's just not financially possible. So what does this all mean? It means the old blueprint, it's broken. It's obsolete. But that's not bad news. That is fantastic news. It's permission. It is the freedom to throw out those old, dusty plans and finally, design your own.
Now, before you can build anything great, you have to pour a solid foundation. And that foundation? It's not out there somewhere. It's your mindset. This is where we learn to manage our internal world first.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? We spend so much time and energy trying to control the situation, to handle what's happening to us. But the real work, the real game changer, is learning to handle our own mind. That's where the real battle is won.
And that brings us to this really important distinction. We're always chasing motivation, right? But look at this. Motivation is temporary. It's a feeling. And feelings, well, they fade, especially when things get tough. Discipline, on the other hand, is consistent. It's based on commitment. Discipline is the engine that's going to push you through long after those initial feelings are gone. That's the foundation we have to build.
This right here, this is the mindset. It's not about waiting until you feel like doing something. It's about deciding you're going to do it and then building the habit of showing up, especially on the days you really don't want to.
So let's lay down a few key principles for this new foundation. First, pain plus reflection equals progress. It's not enough to just go through hard stuff. You have to reflect and learn from it. Next, and this is a big one, stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. And remember, the single most important conversation you will ever have is the one that you have with yourself. So treat yourself like someone you actually love and are responsible for helping. Because in the end, your hardships can be your excuse or they can become your story. And that choice is always yours.
Okay, we've got a solid foundation poured. Now it is time for the build. This is the fun part, the practical part, where we turn all these ideas and mindset shifts into concrete, actionable steps.
And there's this brilliant framework from therapist Dr. Scott Eilers. He basically argues that building a life that feels worth it isn't some fuzzy, magical thing. Nope.
It can be broken down into a clear operational plan. It can be systemized.
And here's how it works. Step 1, you define it. What does a worth it life actually look like for you? Be specific. Step 2, you identify the real obstacles. Not vague stuff like I'm lazy, but concrete things like I don't have a marketable skill. Then, step 3 is where the magic happens. You just invert those obstacles. So, I don't have a skill becomes your new to-do list. Spend 30 minutes every day learning that new skill. See that? Your obstacles literally just wrote your action plan for you.
And never, ever forget this. You don't build a house all at once. You lay one brick, and then another, and then another. Your dream life, the one you're designing, it's built exactly the same way, through small, consistent, daily actions. Every single brick matters.
All right, let's zoom out for our final section, the horizon. It's time to adopt a totally new and much more empowering perspective on what our life's timeline can actually look like.
Researcher Mel Robbins offers this really powerful reframe. She says, what if we stopped thinking about life as this one long, frantic race against that broken social clock? What if instead, we started seeing it as a series of decades where each one has its own unique purpose and its own potential for a fresh start?
I mean, just look at this new timeline. The 20s aren't for getting everything perfect. They are the decade of possibility. The 40s aren't some kind of end. They're the launch pad for your next amazing chapter. And the 50s, a decade of total reinvention. You see, at every single stage, there is a new beginning just waiting for you.
So please, let this really sink in. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be to pick up your tools and to start building.
And that is the ultimate takeaway. Don't be a passive resident in your own life. Be the creator. Be the architect. Actively build the life that feels right and true to you.
So, the old checklist is gone, ripped up. It's a blank page now. The only question that really matters is, what are you going to write on yours? The blueprint is in your hands.